part of this original design. The yellow dots with circles with stars inside of them, those represented new structures that we were going to have to build in this corridor in order to accommodate the capacitor bank tie-in to the station, and also reconfigure some existing structures and lines that are out in the corridor today. The purple represented structures that would remain, lattice structures that would remain. Some of the biggest concerns that were raised to us about the project really emanated from the vegetation removal and losing a buffer between the corridor and the station with the Timothy Heights neighborhood, as well as some of the structure heights. We had two structures that were 170 and 175 feet respectively. With the redesign, we eliminate all of that. So that goes away. The station goes away. We go back to what the original corridor looks like. This is what the corridor looks like today. The purple representing the existing 345 kV lattice structures. Click, Nicole. So those two lattice go away as part of the redesign. We remove those. Click. A new Van Wagner station is built. The original station was about 1.5 acres. The new station will be about 3.2 acres. The white circles represent new H-frame structures that would be constructed to flank the station. Those structures would be 95 feet tall. So we are 45 feet lower than the tallest structure that will remain in the right-of-way today. No 170, no 175-foot structures. Next slide. So here's a little bit closer view on the station itself. Again, I mentioned that it would be 3.2 acres versus the 1.5 of the original. So we have reconfigured it and moved it to still stay within the existing right-of-way. It will still have two capacitor banks, but now it will have the 2-bay breaker and a half switchgear that would have been down in the expanded Pleasant Valley substation. We moved that up here so that we don't have to expand the substation toward the Timothy Heights neighborhood. You can see those two purple stars. Those represent lattice structures that are out there today. Those will get removed. If you click, Nicole. And we will have the 4 circles, which represent 4 H-frame structures that would be built flanking the station. Those would be 95 feet in height, 45 feet lower than the tallest structure that's currently in the right-of-way today. So just a quick summary of the redesign. We're reducing a lot of impacts with the redesign. We're not changing the 91 and 92. Those are the national grid lines that are in there today. We're not changing those structures. We're just replacing the wire. It's called a reconductoring. So there's significantly less work that would go on. In the right-of-way, we're not removing vegetative buffers between neighborhoods, and we're not having the tall structures at 170 and 175 feet. This redesign would add additional structures to the right-of-way, but we are removing 2, so there would only be a net increase of 2 in this section. And we do believe that this option offers or addresses the concerns that neighbors had raised and the town had raised when we came out and initially proposed the Van Wagner original design. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions about the project, the redesign, anything that you have in mind.
The KV on the lines is much higher than what it is now, what you're going to bring in, correct?
So the existing structures that are in the main corridor have 4 115 kilovolt lines. We'll remove all of that and we'll put a single 345 kilovolt line. So yes, that single line is higher voltage, and then we'll have a single 115 kV line.
I just don't see how that's good for the people that live around this. I mean, when are we all going to light up in a closet without turning a switch?
So we do have to do a number of studies for the project. They're all included in the Article 7 application, including an EMF, electric and magnetic fields, and there are state requirements for what we have to hit for levels with this project at the edge of right-of-way. And we're able to meet those state standards with the current design that we've shown you today.
And I hate to say it, but everybody wants to boast about the impact reduction on our environmentally and all of that. I'm sorry, that's a bunch of bull. Okay? You can take those big ones down, you can cut them out of the ground, you can do what you want. You're disturbing a whole lot of stuff, and then you're putting up something that has a much higher KV line on it. So I just don't understand it. And I'm not happy with how big that substation is. Once again, what's gonna happen is in another few years, 10 years or whatever, we're gonna have one twice that size, and the next thing you know, we're gonna have another Niagara Mohawk over on Van Wagner Road. That's my complaint for the night.
What is a lay down? You said in Claverick,
Yes.
you're putting, what does that mean?
So, we have to find locations that are suitable to store equipment and material for the construction of the project. And so we found 2 sites, one in Ghent and one in Claverick. They're privately owned sites that we'll use for that purpose. We're storing materials, gathering crews at different times. So that's what those sites will be.
Will any of that happen here?
No,
Okay. So that means you got to transport big stuff through here, right?
we will have trucks that transport materials, correct?
What?
She said through Pleasant Valley.
Oh,
right?
I'm sorry.
That was, yeah.
Part of the project is in Pleasant Valley, so we will have to bring equipment and materials down here in order to complete the construction that I need to detail. Yes.
For how long?
So the construction in Pleasant Valley starts in 2022. We don't have that defined down to a month yet, but we will. And the project needs to be in service, all construction complete by the end of year 2023.
So,
Yeah, you're right, go ahead.
You can just ask.
You could just ask it.
The new line that you're putting up, how does that compare with the proposal for the 765 lines 50 years ago here? What is the magnetic field around the new line? How much larger?
So I can't comment on the past line. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, tell me what the magnetic field is around the new line. Is it, how much larger than the existing line? We have had, on record, one resident that could not live in his house because of the magnetic field and his pacemaker. He had to move to another house.
So we do have a detailed report with all of the levels for EMF. I'm happy to provide that. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, and I don't want to misstate them. So I can pull that up if you'd like. Even after we're done our presentation, I can quickly pull them up and show them to you.
Can this line, as proposed when it's put in, be converted to 765?
No, it is built for what we are discussing today.
Because I attended a Central Hudson sponsored test site in Toronto, Canada. They had a number of experiments going underneath the 765 lines up there. Now, that was 50 years ago. I was a very healthy person at that time, and I really did not feel good by the end of the day. So magnetic fields are a very large concern.
I have a question. The line that you're showing and proposing coming down through, it doesn't appear to be the same line that I happen to be bordering on, up on Marshall Road, which is, I think, a whole different line. What is that proposed at all? Is that the same company, or is that proposed at all to increase or do the same thing you're doing? And if so, if they're increasing their line, what would be the impact with the high velocity from this one and that one combined. Now you're talking a whole bunch of magnetic fields kind of combining.
I'm not familiar with Marsh.
It's where I live.
Yeah, so this,
I don't think it's the same line, is what I'm saying.
oh, it is the 9192, okay. Yeah, so we're not touching the 9192, other than in that segment, just south of Van Wyker Road between Pleasant Valley and the proposed capacitor bank station to reconductor,
Right.
meaning hang new wires on those structures. As for this project, the reason this project came to be is that the state identified a need for relieving congestion on the system, on the network. So congestion, means that the power can't efficiently and effectively get to customers. And if it says it's moving down, it's at a higher price because it's all locked up. This project, along with another project, will relieve that identified congestion in order to allow for renewable energy to flow more efficiently and effectively from upstate resources to downstate customers. So that's the whole purpose for this project. We're achieving those goals with this project. Other projects that may come up, whether it's for reliability reasons or if it's to support moving renewable energy, that would happen in a different effort. So that's not included in this effort that we're working on.
Well, are there plans to include?
Not that I'm aware of.
Nothing aware of. Because I know that I can take a light bulb and walk down to the bottom of the power lines that border my property, and it lights up in my hand. Okay, so I know it's strong. That's what I'm saying. So if we got two lines down the line, making almost double. I mean, Mary had a point about how strong the one is. Now we've got two lines coming through this town. I mean, is it going to be?
So just for information, so the magnetic fields at the edge of the right of way have to be under 200 milligauss. That's the state requirements. These lines are well underneath that currently.
Okay.
Will be with new design.
Okay.
That 200 milligauss is effectively less than what it would be if you were using an hair dryer. So I'm not trying to dismiss it, but
Not at all.
we have to meet those state requirements. And the line actually today may actually be less than what the current magnetic fields are.
So everyone in Pleasant Valley can get electricity for free after this, is correct?
Yeah, well, that was
worth
my.
a shot.
Just trying.
That was my next question. Who exactly is getting this electric?
New York City.
So there's a variety of customers that would receive electricity from this line. There are tap lines off of this existing line. In fact, part of the project is to upgrade one of the existing tap lines in Livingston that comes off of this today. So there is local power that's fed off of the project route that we're talking about. And then some of the power goes further south as well. So it's a mix.
I just see this getting bigger in the future.
Me too.
Okay, and I'm having a real issue with this, as you could probably tell. So I just can't comprehend why we are the hub of all of this all the time. I mean, I know how much 3.9 acres is to how big it is, because I mow that at my house. Okay, so I know how much it is. That's a huge difference in space. And I know that this is just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. And we have so much going on here now. Huge towers, I mean, they're getting ridiculously high. I don't understand why we're the hub of all this all the time. I really don't. Why can't this substation be built somewhere else? I hate to say that, but, as long as it's not in Pleasant Valley. I mean, what are we going to get out of this? I'm sorry, but I want to know what my residents are going to get out of this. Are they going to get a good write-off on this? Are we going to get something from,
So the utilities, any utility that has assets in a community, Pleasant Valley included, would pay taxes to the town on all of the assets. So that's the structure.
Wait. No. What she's saying is, what she's saying is that we assess the substation, right? So let's just go,
the assessment?
I don't, I don't mean to cut you off, but we can go down that road because Con Ed got a very crafty lawyer back in the 70s and won an assessment fight against the town for what they were assessed for. So again, I think what Mary's getting at is, this is another case of we're having to sacrifice our way of life up here to feed
Right.
New York City, and we're not in love with it. I'm just being honest.
And those new towers that went up that you can see from NASA, those suckers, we are not getting the kind of money that you think we're getting.
We're not. It's
And that, to me, is really sad for everybody in this town.
my 2 cents, Mary, I think would be that once they're done being constructed, that we actually assess them for what it's worth, not just be that way. At least we could say we're getting our fair share out of this.
Right.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I want to make a couple of comments. I was a supervisor here in 2015. I was on the board from in 2012. I spent a lot of time on this, both of these lines that were proposed to come down to Pleasant Valley. It seems that, I agree with Mary 100%. It seems like Pleasant Valley always gets the short end of the stick. From what I see of your new proposal, yeah, you lower the lines, but from what I remember being back then is, the more you lower the lines, the more poles went in. So I understand you're 2 for 2, but that's one concern. The other concern I have is the same as Mary's, and that's the size of the substation. We talked at length. I'm worried about the residents on the other side, not Bill Wagner's side.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much,
right.
But I'm really
Yeah.
worried about the residents on the other side, because they are definitely gonna be impacted by this. And I agree with Frank 100% that the town has definitely taken it on the chin when it comes to the substation. Every time we tried to reassess them or talk to them, there was absolutely no talking about it. So the town got the short end of it. We already have poles coming from Cricket Valley to the substation. So they can go back and give power to Connecticut. That's what that line was all about. I don't see any benefits, and again, New York City, this was all because there was jammed up, and it has to get to New York City, and Pleasant Valley has the impacts of everything. The one thing that I wanted to ask the town board is that this is still under Article 7. I'd like to know if the town is still a party to the procedure, has filed to be a party to the procedure, and has somebody working with us to look at the Article 7 procedure.
Yeah, the Public Service Commission has allocated intervenor funds. And what happens is, we have an attorney, Dan Duthry.
You still have Dan?
Yes. And you know how it works. The Public Service Commission, he bills and we pay him when we get paid.
I do.
So
I do, and I thank you for that, because Dan is phenomenal, and I think that's where the board needs to be with Article 7 on this. But, this started as something completely different. We were gonna have another little transfer station, by this, and now, as Mary is saying, we've got something over 3 acres, which is a huge station. So there's gonna be height and there's gonna be other impacts. When we were looking at this, we were worried about the visual environment for poles. Now we have a visual environment for a huge building. And I think that the town ought to work with Dan Duffy and make sure that our comments are taken into consideration for Article 7.
Now, just don't mean to cut you off, but just correct me if I'm wrong. The Van Wagner substation is supposed to be in the place of where the old substation was, right? Like there was one once on Van Wagner Road that is now removed. So, right? So.
I'm not familiar with.
No, Frank, that was a Central Hudson substation.
That's not. But same location, so roughly.
Across the street.
Well,
Oh.
let's face it, Central Hudson is part owner in Transco.
Yeah.
Central Hudson is not a part owner, it's an affiliate of Central Hudson.
Well,
Semantics. So, what I'm getting at is, I just feel that we're being, the residents of Pleasant Valley are being laid out to just deal with something that we really don't necessarily want or need. And to be honest with you, maybe just to spitball an idea, maybe we should spend all these billions of dollars making New York City more efficient, so that way we don't need to give them more power. But that's just my 2 cents from a town council
So
person.
that's been brought up.
I'm sure it has. I'm sure it has. I mean, but I don't know.
by
I
the
mean,
way,
I think
these structures the two structures you're taking down are, the new structure is taller than those two are right now,
Correct.
but as wide as those two already are.
It's about a 10-foot average.
So really, the only thing that you're all trying to make it seem like you're making a smaller footprint, which somebody has to define that to me someday. But you're saying that it's a smaller footprint, but yet meanwhile, you're putting a whole lot more KV on it.
So it is a smaller physical footprint. The existing lattice structures each have 4 foundations, right, that they
Right.
take up. Those all go away, the foundations get removed. We put a structure with a single foundation into the ground. It does take up less footprint in the right of way.
That's what I mean. You all have to define less footprint to me. Okay, because if you're gonna dig up everything that's been there for years and years, and then put another one in, it still has to be kept mowed. You still have to kill off the vegetation. And I don't know what kind of vegetation killer they use, but I can tell you it should be outlawed, because they use it on my property. And it is, I'm telling you, when it kills something,
Kills everything.
it is, right?
Yeah.
Trees.
Trees,
Everything.
everything, done. In a matter of 4 days, you see a dramatic change in everything. So, you know, we have some real big concerns here. You know, I know you're the messenger.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
We don't wanna kill the
But you gotta
messenger, but-
take, the messenger has to take this stuff back and talk to them, because this is insane. We're already to the max in Pleasant Valley with this stuff. And I bet you, if I filled this room, 95% of the people would agree with me. The other 5% work for Central Hudson.
It's funny to me, just to think about from a visual perspective, right? You're coming down, think about driving north on Salt Point Turnpike, right? You come around the turn, Van Wagner Road is right there, you can actually see most of the valley, you can see down to West Road. What you see now is giant telephone poles ever since they put in the not the Transco lines, sorry, the Cricket Valley lines. I can only imagine what that view is gonna be like. It's not gonna be the same picturesque view that we've always had.
Right.
I'm not a big fan.
And the other thing, Frank, just to add to that, is the residents that abut this, and we've had long conversations about the vegetation and how long it takes the vegetation to grow. Now, once you start construction and you start removing that vegetation, it'll take years before that vegetation gets to a point where the residents don't have to look at that anymore.
Right, and then it runs the risk of that vegetation could collapse on some line that they'd probably then have to cut down again. So, yeah, it's not a, yeah.
Anybody else?
There's a few.
How wide are the easements where the poles are going?
Easements,
How wide is it physically?
it's a right way only fee, so
How wide is it?
I think it's,
The 250 is the estimate, 150.
Yeah. Well, this,
And what's the
yeah,
setback?
like I said, unfortunately, the need in the south and the research.
gonna override it.
And we're in the middle. And that station ain't going away.
You mean setback from the wires?
You know?
From the center line, there's usually a setback requirement.
Well, it's the minimum, because I know because of my area, is their width. So if they own 250 feet, you can't build anywhere near that.
So you lose some land, your properties get devalued,
Right.
and we knock down the comps in the whole town.
So the properties are owned by National Grid, it's not easement, right, so it's property owned by National Grid, so it's not like we're easements with landowners.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
The property is all owned.
I have a deeded easement on my property
You
with
may,
Central
but
Hudson.
But for the lines that are being built, they're built on National Grid property.
that's owned by the, there are no easements.
Of course, that doesn't really make it all better, what he's asking. Okay, just because you say you
No,
own
we
it.
just want to
That's-
clarify so
yeah.
that folks have the information, that's all.
Right, so if you have a 250-foot ownership easement, whatever you call it, and I own this property here,
how far from that line can I actually physically build something? Meet the town setbacks? I mean, is it a danger within so many feet with ozones or whatever comes off the line?
I'm not aware, we can double check that. I'm not
No,
aware.
the only thing you have to do is meet the setback requirement for the town, for the property line.
And that's acceptable?
That's acceptable, absolutely.
So 15 feet? Is that what the,
Yeah,
yeah,
and that would be safe to build within 15 feet of that?
Correct, because everything meets, everything from a EMF perspective is fine at the edge of right of way, so there's no issue.
And we go to national electric safety codes, so that's another thing for how we construct it the right way.
Just a quick question. Are you the same company that did the Cricket Valley?
No.
And then how was the location decided to the substation to be in Pleasant Manor?
So we had the requirement to keep everything on utility property, which we were able to meet with the Van Wagner, the location of the Van Wagner Caster Bank station. It's also the proximity to the Pleasant Valley station where everything ties in with the project itself, the overall project that we described.
I agree with, what they're saying is that, it's kind of shameful when you drive down our main street here in town, and we have this gigantic substation, and it seems like, every 5 years, there's another power company coming into the town and asking to build this or add on to this, and I would agree with them, it's like, when's enough, and what are we benefiting from as a town, except destroying, our main street. You drive down 44 here, and the first thing you see is this gigantic substation. My concern is, the poor residents out in Van Wagner, beautiful, wooded area, now we're building a gigantic substation there.
Absolutely.
What benefit is it to the residents of Pleasant Valley? Is there any benefit?
We don't even have a bridge.
So,
We don't even have a covered bridge.
I know. We got power lines up.
What do we have?
I got one run right by my house.
we pay those taxes to any community that has those assets. So that's an annual payment that we have to make, which that goes to the town off of that.
And
It
then
is-
the new poles that
It
you're
is a
putting
pain
up,
in the neck, because I built my
is
pool
that
barn, and I
currently
had
taller
this,
than the
say, 15
towers
feet
that
away from the
you're
right of way,
replacing?
So in the main, that main corridor, where we're taking 2 lattice structures out and replacing them with a single monopole, the average height increase is 10 feet. That varies though along the right of way depending on terrain, clearance requirements. And with the EM&CP Phase 2 document that I was referring to that we'll submit early next year, we'll actually detail out with specificity the height of each of the structures along the right of way and the locations of each of the structures.
That's another concern for me, is with the Cricket Valley, we were kind of sold the same idea that these structures were gonna be taken down, and the height was only gonna be an average of 10 feet more. You could drive over towards Forest Valley, and there's 4 people over there, you can see from Freedom Road, the tower now, which you never could see before. I think it stands out a lot more, so taking down structures and just saying we're gonna put 1 pole up and take 2 structures down, I think that really needs to be thought through if this is gonna happen, because it does make a significant visual impact, and, I think it affects the values of the homes next door to that, even if you do own the property. I think if you keep building these things, and they're tall, and they're higher powered, I think it's gonna be a lot harder for the residents to sell their houses along these if you guys do this.
Gary?
I completely understand the reluctance of your company. I don't like it, but I understand the reluctance to change any of the tax provisions and why you're getting it. We in Pleasant Valley are affected a lot more than a neighboring town where the lines just go through. Would your company consider a payment in lieu of taxes?
So we're not doing pilot agreements as a result of this project. The project will be assessed according to how the state works, does their evaluation and assessments.
But you wouldn't, because of the large impact on our community, larger than other ones, because we have the plant and you're proposing a new one. I would think that moved here, Con Ed at that point. Their payment in taxes was approximately 13% of our total tax. Now it's negligible.
And if it's, what happens is, we might get a higher assessment at the beginning of the project. But we have to sit here and realistically realize that, this is something the residents of Pleasant Valley are gonna have here and have to deal with long after it's not this board, or maybe some of us aren't living here, and haven't seen how those, the substation has been depreciated over the years. We've lost a ton in tax revenue. And you're right, we've lost a ton in tax revenue.
Yeah, it shouldn't be depreciated, because it's still doing the same
It
job.
was, the funny part was, I think from looking through old notes,
Based
from-
on the amount of years it's been there.
yeah, from looking through old notes, they won in court based off of the fact that they're, all the structures there are temporary, because they're just bolted to the ground. The young lady in the back.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where the structure is gonna be on Van Wagner. You said coming around the curve on Salt Point?
No, I was just talking about the picturesque view of Pleasant Valley at that point, but I think where it's gonna be is,
If she
yeah,
can put that picture
yeah, we'll put the picture back
then-
up for you.
Then you can tell.
I'm wondering how close to the elementary school will these lines come, and the
So no, the elementary school, which, there's an existing corridor there today that's, and there are lines there, there's the 91 and 92 lines, the 345 kilovolt lines. That's denoted by yellow squares. Those exist there today. So we'll be building in that same corridor for the station.
but you're putting,
Those lines are not being at all touched except for the wire on those lines, and that little stretch. There are two structures we would remove in order to construct the Van Wagner station, and then flanking the station, both the northern portion and the southern portion, would be 4 each frame structures, again, all within that utility land in that existing corridor. And those would be 95.
Just to give you you see the 3 ball fields at the top of you see the 3 ball fields right at the top of the screen? That's the backside of West Road. West Road School's up here.
okay, but that's not where high-powered wire is gonna come, right? Or is
There
it?
already is today in that corridor. That's what the yellow squares do.
People seem to be concerned about their houses, but what, about the school, I guess they'll be far enough away from the school.
Sir, would you be able to introduce yourself and let me know your name and stuff?
I'm Paul Herron. I'm work for their Transco and Vice President of Capital Investment.
I'm sorry, I should have done that.
I'm a resident of Pleasant Valley for 30 years.
Do you live near lines?
I have Madison Road, I live
Okay.
near the Quick Valley.
I'm making a little joke.
Thank you.
So we're not lowering any lines. The main corridor, that's about a 5-mile run in Pleasant Valley. Today it has 2 lattice towers that are in there. They sit in pairs. We'll be taking those down, all of the wires, they 4 115 kilovolt lines, and in their place, putting a single monopole structure with a new 345 kilovolt line and a 115 kilovolt line. So yes, if you see right there, the present, which is on the left, has the 2 structures that we'll be removing with the 4 115 kilovolt lines. And on the right, where it says future, that's the new design where we have a single monopole in its place and a new 345 kilovolt line and a 115 kilovolt line. So in Pleasant Valley, there'll be about 36 less structures at the end of the day when the project's done that will be permanently removed from the corridor.
Now, are we talking a single line that actually is carrying 345 kV?
Yes.
Yeah, and one.
Okay, so what I do know, I mean, I was an avionics technician in the Marine Corps, cross-trained as an electrician. I do have a little bit of background in it. I know 345 kV is giving off a hell of a lot more magnetic field than 115, like 3 times as much.
It really.
Given-
It depends on the current, right? So the magnetic field is defined based on the current, so not based on the voltage. The voltage defines the electric field. We have to meet certain electric field requirements that
Okay, so roughly how much current are we talking? How much increase in amps?
So, again, you have four lines today, right, that all carry varying amounts of current, and you're replacing it with 2 lines. So the reality is in this corridor, you may actually have less magnetic fields as a result of the fact that we've reduced the number of lines from 4 to 2. But it depends on the current flow at the time. We have to design for a worst case, so we design for a winter period, high load, and arguably, typically the lines aren't carrying that much current, so therefore the effect of the magnetic fields are much less than what we've actually designed for.
But I kind of have a feeling over the next few years, that demand from down south, it ain't going to decrease, it's only going to
Well,
increase.
so again, we have to design for the max flow, right? So that's as much as that line can carry, and that's what we have to design to. It cannot carry any more current. Arguably, we have to go back to the commission for an Article 7 to change that. So whatever it's designed to is what it can carry.
And you're telling me that that's really not going to be an increase over the present magnetic field from the 4 115s?
We can go back and do the assessment as to what it is today at the edge right away in terms of magnetic field
Wow.
and what is with the design. I can tell you that we have to be 200 gauss at the edge right away.
Well, I'm pretty concerned about that for the sake of the health of my constituents that live near those lines.
Understood.
And I know the effect on it because I also worked for a while as a tree trimmer, clearing those 115s and 345s. I know what it does to you.
There's also electrostatic effect off of those lines. The higher the voltage, the bigger the electrostatic effect. Not just the electromagnetic.
In the interest of time.
I have a question. It's been a while since I've been involved in this. I was very involved in it back then. Can you refresh my memory? I thought that when this was proposed, we were looking at a transfer station of some sort further up north and a smaller one at the substation here. Has that changed, or am I incorrect?
So the project in total, we start up by building a new switching station in Stodac, on utility-owned property. Then we begin the line upgrade that we've described. We're removing old aging infrastructure, putting in a new monopole with 345 and 115. We continue that down the right of way, then we hit Clobrook. There's an existing switching station in Clobrook called the Churchtown Station. That will be rebuilt on that utility-owned land, and then we continue the upgrade, which looks like this, from that station down to Pleasant Valley. And then here in Pleasant Valley, it'll tie into the existing Pleasant Valley station, 115 kV side, 345 kV side, adding equipment into the existing station, and then we built the capacitor bank station off of Van Wagner Road.
I think, yeah, I appreciate you reminding me of that, because I do remember there was transfers coming down. I personally like the monopoles. I know that we had many residents in here talking about the height and talking about the poles. I think they look better. I think my biggest concern is the size of those, what's being added on here. Because I don't remember in the project, in my mind, I don't remember anything that big. So I guess my question to you, even though you have the transfers coming down, my question is, did that increase in size from maybe some of the earlier projections of what we would have at the substation?
I would have to go back and look. There were a number of proposals, not only from our organization, but many other companies.
Right.
I'm sure you remember
Right.
that. So it was a competitive process. It went through a number of iterations based on feedback from stakeholders. There were requirements put in place by the Public Service Commission, and then it went to NISO for the finalization of the competitive process, and ultimately we won this segment. The other segment that's being built, which is from outside of Utica to outside of Albany, that's being done by another company, LS Power, partnered with NIPA. So there's multiple pieces to the puzzle that are kind of all occurring at the same time for that need that you described earlier.
And let me ask this gentleman over here, do you know what happened with the other line that Mr. Bell was talking about, that came down Marshall Road, Nova? We had 2 lines that we were looking at when I was supervisor, and I'm curious as to what happened to the other line.
I didn't hear nothing about that after a while.
So again,
That was a different proposal, I think, during the proceeding. Yeah.
that one's out of the picture.
Okay. Well, that's good news.
To some
Okay,
degree.
can we,
I want to thank you for, I
Yeah,
just, as,
thank
in
you.
the interest of time, we've almost spent an hour on this, so thank you.
Yeah, sure, anytime, we're happy to come back, go through all of the nuts and bolts.
I have one more question, and it's
Yeah, no,
just,
that's
just one more thing. So it would appear that your presentation, and everybody down here, is to help us digest this, correct? And yet you're still listening to some of our proposals, or some of our dislikes, or concerns, or worries. What do you do with that information? Do we go back and do we take that information and say, hey, let's help these people a little more, or this is really just an exercise?
So we obviously, we did take feedback from
Right.
the initial conversations we had and made adjustments. We'll take additional feedback. To come here and say that we're going to change anything, I'm not gonna make that promise to you.
Okay.
But we'll take it back and share it with our team. We obviously are very far along in our process. We anticipate starting construction in Clogrick in 2021. We'll kick off construction on this project. We have been out there talking about this for quite some time with all of the communities. So we're here to continue the dialogue. Don't get me wrong, I just don't want to make a commitment to say that we're going to change something based on this evening. We'll take it back to our team.
Thank you.
John, I would say that Dan Duffy would be the person to communicate
Correct.
with,
Right.
because, he's representing us on the Article 7. So if there was anything that the town had that they would discuss with him, he could put that proposal forward, take care of it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, that was fun.
Yep.
Thank you.
While they're dismantling the equipment, let's keep going on here. The correspondence, all official correspondence is on file with the town clerk's office. Oral reports, I see we have a county legislator here. Would you like to say something, Deidre?
Hi all. I just wanted to let you know that last night we had our monthly legislative meeting. Our agenda, we made a few appointments to county committees, the Citizens Advisory Board on Domestic Violence, the Human Rights Commission, and the Mental Hygiene Board, we all made appointments to. Last evening, we passed a resolution requesting a feasibility study for the development of a youth court or a youth restorative justice program in the county. And then we received a presentation of the Justice and Transition Center, aka the new jail. The bids are in, and currently, the construction project is about $20 million below what was originally budgeted. So we'll see how the numbers play out, but that's where we are right now. Obviously, we reduced the beds based on bail reform from about 500 to 300 beds with 28 medical, mental hygiene beds. So they've lowered the scope of the jail, so we'll realize some savings with that. And the only other thing I want to talk about is early voting is starting on Saturday, the 24th. There are 5 locations throughout the county: Rhinebeck Town Hall, Millbrook Firehouse, Board of Elections on Cannon Street, the Boardman Road Library in Poughkeepsie, and the Fishkill Town Hall. It runs through Sunday, November 1st. Every day you're guaranteed 12 to 5, but if you go on the website, elections.duchessny.gov, some days do have expanded hours. And then, of course, vote in person if you don't get to early voting or have an absentee on Tuesday, November 3rd at your usual polling place. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
TJ.
Before we go into the open meeting, Carol, I know you asked a question about the civil service for the zoning administrator. I have an email from our town attorney, our co-town attorney, David Weiss, who specializes in labor, and he said no civil service issues as long as he is part-time as acting zoning administrator.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that very much.
I'll
Okay
make a
with that.
motion- I'll make a motion to open the meeting to the public for anything.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
Don't all jump at the.
Rolando Guedini, Advertise. I want to thank you for putting in the information on the website. Thank you.
Oh, my
You're
pleasure.
welcome.
I thought this was going to clear the air for her. You know?
It means the battery's dying. It's all right. It's still, I can still hear you because I can see it.
She can use this.
No, she's still on.
Oh, okay.
That's better, you got me. I want to piggyback on what was said. I think I came in the beginning of the year and I suggested some things to the town board about what helps the residents. And thank you, I'm over the moon happy, as I told you. It's so helpful to have the resolutions. It makes it easier for the residents, and I think it makes the residents see that, you know, you've got some transparency in what you're doing, and that's what we need nowadays. I just have a couple of quick things to say. I was looking at the changes to the transfer station. I think just a couple of comments. I think we're on the right page for doing this. I think that it's gonna help. I applaud the board for taking steps to try to get that in line. I understand. It would be great if we could get it even, if we could make money, that would also be good. It's not fair to the other residents in the town who pay to have their garbage picked up, to have to do that, but I do think it's a good thing for the seniors and everybody else that uses it. I know I use it. And I have a small question about the Fox Run subdivision. I sat here the other night, listened to all the different things, you know, this happened in 2012 and this happened in 2020, and I'm happy we're moving forward with this. And my only question is that there's gonna be an execution, a next assignment agreement. Is this a performance bond that's being carried over? Can the board tell me, is there a performance bond?
Yeah, I think there is. I have the contract.
Is it something that's just not, you know, because it's helpful, and I'm glad that we're getting a performance bond, and I'm glad that we're moving forward, but just a suggestion that would help me is it'd be nice if it was in the resolution so that we know that we are accepting a performance bond on this.
Well, it mentions it at the top, in the first whereas, executed March 11th, 2008, a performance bond was executed and a hold harmless agreement was dated. I think it's just, some of these get gobbed up with wording.
Well, no, and I'm glad that it's mentioned, but, you know, we're talking about something that goes back to 2008, and there's been tons and tons of paperwork on this, and things that they were gonna do and things they weren't. So it's just an opinion of mine that it would be helpful when we look at this one, that it has the performance bond amount in it, so that going forward, we can say that, you know, on this day in 2020, we did this and we did an assignment agreement, but it would be helpful if the monetary value was just a comment.
We have, after we pass this resolution, I have the hold harmless agreement in my office, and the three parties, I have to sign it, and the other two parties have to sign it.
No,
So-
I don't doubt that you're doing the right thing. I just think that it's helpful all the way around that we know that this has a performance bond with it, because that's one of the big reasons for doing it. Thank you so much.
Greg Straley. I wanted to know what the town's gonna do about, we need a dust study and an air study from the quarry. And they need to come up and swab the people's houses around the quarry. We are breathing, you know, this dust in.
Cool. Mary Beth, when we sent out that letter to the DEC about the water study, did we include dust in that or no?
No, it was just,
Okay.
you guys just did a motion on the floor
Okay.
for water.
Should we do another one?
So let's do another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do another one.
Yeah,
Let's-
I'll make a motion that we are asking the DEC, and Peckham, or just the DEC?
And
Are we asking both of them to do the dust study, or are we
Yes.
asking the DEC to do it?
Why not?
All right, so, I'll make a motion that, the town board of Town of Pleasant Valley is, whereas we have the need for this study, so be it resolved that we are asking the DEC and/or Peckham to conduct a dust and air quality study.
Can I comment on that?
Sure.
I think it should be independent of Peckham. Peckham does their own monitoring now with the glass. They monitor the wells according to their permit. The DEC says they're supposed to monitor every month, every week. Nothing's being done.
Yep.
There's 7 years of reports missing.
Hold on, so, let me, to conduct a air quality study from an independent contractor.
There we go.
And
Wait a
Oh,
minute, we need a second.
I second it.
Okay.
Discussion. What does that mean? Who's going to pay for this?
That's my question.
Well, we have a lot of people suffering because of
I would assume
that.
them, I mean, them being either the DEC or whomever.
So you want 2 letters sent out, one to the DEC and to Peckham.
Yeah.
As far as who's paying for it, we are here to not only protect the money of our constituents, but also their health. I think we somehow should find ways to do that. I mean, I think it's prudent upon us to take the safety and security of our residents. I mean, if
Well, we
this
don't
is
even
a-
know how much it's going to
Yeah, I
cost.
was just
I was
gonna
gonna
We
say,
could take bids, we could certainly see what it does cost. Why not?
I guess my question is, do we do an RFP for something like that? Do we, like,
Wait for a response, not yours.
yeah, what's
Huh?
this?
Wait for town engineer.
Town engineer.
Again, who's going to pay for it?
I think we should.
Yeah, we
take
have to pay the
DEC
town
out.
engineer
Yeah.
to begin
What-
with.
What's that?
We'd have to pay the town engineer
Right,
to
somebody's
begin
going to pay
with, so-
for it, you know?
I have no problem asking for the study to be done, I don't know what the studies cost, that's the
I don't
problem.
either.
Like, it could, I mean,
I think we should just not make any decisions tonight and try to find some of this out.
well, let me say something.
okay,
With the town not being willing to do this study, the town is being opened up to a class action lawsuit from the residents on this. I'm telling you,
Okay.
I'm not threatening, but I'm telling you where it's gonna go.
Well, yeah, you did.
No, I
Number
didn't
one.
threaten you.
Number
I
two,
told you where
I
it's gonna end
said,
up.
what I said was I think that we should look into how much it was. That is not grounds to open up a class action suit.
We can open a class action lawsuit against the town for the town not doing anything about the zoning. For how many years now, that the residents have suffered. This is why your lawyer needs to be here for the town.
so can I ask this question?
Yeah?
Okay, we're about to pass, because we have a motion and a second on the table, for asking them to do a independent study. In the meantime, I think we still ask, but then I think we also, in our spare time, can find out, and I just joke about that because I'm just busy this week. We could find out what it actually would cost to have a study done, and then we can revisit at the November meeting. We can't just rub sticks together and just come up with figures. We need time to figure that out. So I think we still ask them to do a study, and then we can figure out what a study would cost and see if it's feasible for the town to achieve.
Right.
I've been asking the DEC, I talked to Andrew Chin, which is the head of the air division, and all that's falling on is deaf ears and pictures. I talked to Ryan Leduc the other day. I showed him the pictures of the dust, the whole 9 yards. And you know what he said? His exact word, I had a 20-minute conversation with him. He said, we don't go by pictures. I said, the pictures are the proof of the dust. You can't see the back of the truck on North Avenue. We can't go by pictures. Every time we go there, there's no dust there. I mean,
No, Greg, I hear you. I think that, so, from our standpoint, like, we have to do things methodically. So like, I think we asked them to, do the study, and then, in the meantime, I think we'll figure out what it would cost.
okay.
And then, can we, like, I think we'll
All right,
add it
well,
to the
all right,
November
we'll-
meeting.
We'll move on with it, but from what I understand, there's a person sitting on the board that a family member works at the quarry, and this person should recuse theirself from any talks on this quarry.
I gotta tell you something. It doesn't take a mental giant to figure out who you're talking about, okay?
Okay.
Second of all, he
Yeah.
just started there, okay?
It
I
doesn't
have been
matter if he
involved with
started there or
talking
when he
about
started there.
stuff, and that is not going to sway my decision on things one way or another. And you can't say that because I'm the one that pushed to have somebody in that planning and zoning look through everything to come up with an answer for you.
Well, they have no choice to do that. And my other thing is, we're complaining about these big cell towers, but what about the silos and the trucks from that quarry? Where the people are living right next to the silos, and you let them build them higher, you let them put them right next to the road, and gave them a variance on everything they did up there since they moved in here. You didn't look at one resident that was living there. And my feelings on everything too, that the taxes, the people that have houses and property around that quarry, the taxes need to be cut by 50%. The value of the homes and the property are gone by 50%. It needs to be done.
Greg, I wasn't here back then, okay?
None of us
What I am trying to do with Transco and everything else is try to protect everybody from here on in, which again is why I pushed to have the zoning done differently. So as soon as they come up with an answer, you will be the first one to know about it.
I presented pictures of the C&D material being loaded in a truck, being hauled in the quarry, being dumped in the quarry.
And they
this
are-
is falling
they
on
are-
deaf ears.
no, it's not.
There's a crusher up there crushing this. All the water from the rain is running on the C&D piles, running in the aquifer, and running into Wappingers Creek. And nothing's being done about it. And we're drinking this water. Everyone, I'll get to it. This has been going on for God knows how long, and all we're getting to it. No, we're not getting to it. We want to see the temporary permit for that quarry that they're running on right now. Do you guys have a copy of it? Of the temporary permit?
I personally do not know because I have not seen it. I'm sure I can get that information from zoning.
And if they don't have a temporary permit in place by the DEC, that mining should be shut down immediately because they are running with no permit up there.
If I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
They don't have it.
they have it.
if I'm not mistaken, they do have it. I was copied on an email that they applied for it in due time.
You must have gotten that.
I didn't think I remember reading that.
Sorry.
Like I said, about the taxes, our taxes need to be cut by 50%, land and school. No ifs, ands, or buts on this.
Well, we can't control the school.
Yeah.
That's not our control. So you can,
We're going on property values.
Yeah, you can though, Frank, because the assessor can do it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
How
Okay,
can you value
our
our
ti-
property around that quarry the same as everybody else's?
Well, you can, Greg, you can come in and grievance stay
I've already
and,
grievanced it.
well then,
I've already been here and done it, and they look at you like you got 3 heads.
but we're not the body to do it. We can't do it. The assessor does it with grievance stay. That's it.
Grievance board. I'm sorry, but we have to move on to other people because it's
We have a
really,
motion on the floor.
We have a motion on the floor, we gotta vote on it. Yep,
okay,
yep, yep.
sorry,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, so,
Request the DEC to do
The DEC and Peckham, or Peckham, to hire an independent contractor to do an air quality study.
air and dust.
Air and dust.
Air and dust, sorry.
Air
yeah,
and
air
dust.
quality.
So we're going to have Peckham hire. So there you go.
Either the DEC or Peckham, whoever.
So they'll both get.
We're asking them. And then we're gonna find out what it's gonna
That's all
cost.
we're doing.
How are we
asking.
determining that they're truly independent at that point? I mean, if Peckham's asking.
Well, it's not, an independent contractor would be somebody that's not employed, but like, they're gonna hire a third party to do the study. They're not gonna just say, hey, Sammy, get out of the truck for an afternoon, you're gonna go take air samples.
Wow.
I mean, in the meantime, it's an ask. I mean, and then unless we wanna wait and prepare some kind of other resolution with other language.
I think we should at least get something like that started. I think that's most important.
I
So
agree.
we could certainly get that going.
You just
I
say
also think we
request
should,
it.
And then I can look into
The cost.
independent companies with the cost.
We should also look at the zoning piece. I believe there's some zoning issues where I think I heard it, I'm not sure, about what time they're allowed to start work.
Zoning that's all part of what they're doing. What zoning is doing right now.
When can we
should
expect
have
a
an
result?
answer. I don't know, I was hoping that it was gonna be this week,
Yeah, I was hoping it was gonna be tonight, to be honest with you.
but I haven't spoken to them this week.
I know, yeah, all right.
Yeah, but.
Yes. I second the motion, correct?
Okay.
All in favor?
Can we, wait, a minute. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, can we do this in this portion of the meeting? We have to go back in session. This is open to the public now.
You're right,
Good point.
you're right.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Well, I'll make the motion after we close the
Yeah.
meeting to the public.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, like I said, you should step down from your position on any talk with this board.
Okay.
It needs to happen.
I've heard you, thank you.
No,
No,
not yet, not yet.
No.
I'm gonna redo the motion
just gonna
after,
redo
yeah.
that.
I'll redo the motion as we close.
Mike Reitner, 45 Ranch Road. Just really quick about this independent study for Peckham and whatnot. Just an idea of what you could potentially do. For example, at the planning board, it's a little different because there's escrow accounts and stuff, but when people come before us, for example, there's a property out in 44, and they're gonna start the process of getting, environmental stuff and things like that. So you guys can go out and look for a potential bid for a consultant that you could then approach Peckham and say, there's a lot of issues that are brought up before the board. Would you be willing to pay for this consultant and bring them so then it's independent because you guys pick who it is and approach them, and you're not putting any money out, you're just going and asking for a proposal of what to do this dust study with, get a dollar amount, go to Peckham, explain to them what's going on, and see if they'll do it.
and
then
that's
it's
what I was
independent.
gonna make phone calls and see if we can find somebody.
Mr. Vita was getting ready to get up. Sorry.
Good evening. I just recently moved in on the corner. Oh, sorry, Mark Franzen,
And your address.
6 Swain Drive.
Thank you.
I moved in on the corner of Swain Drive and North Ave in the middle of August. When me and my wife originally saw the house, it was weekend, quiet, normal road traffic for a town. However, it wasn't until we moved in that we realized almost what a mistake we had made moving here. If it wasn't for the house and some of the great people we met here, we consider moving already. The trucks for the quarry. Start as early as 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm leaving for work, and already you can smell the exhaust and asphalt in the air. The trucks only get louder as the day goes on using engine brakes, and they come at times, it seems, in endless lines. I hear the plant running early in the morning through the entire day. Dust from the trucks coming by at high speeds makes it almost unbearable for me and my wife to open my windows during the day. On top of that, Peckham contractors and employees use my driveway for U-turns on an almost daily basis. I've heard about possible quarry expansion as well. What is the status of that? I'm new, so I'm still getting into this whole quarry thing also. I don't know everything about the zoning laws and all, but I've read them, and at least to me it appears as though the quarry has broken numerous zoning laws regarding noise, among others. Yet, I can't put a fence on my property to block out the vehicle noise. I know from speaking to neighbors and others in the town, it didn't used to be like this. Minimal quarry traffic that has only recently increased over the last couple of years. I don't know what else I can say, other than to ask you to enforce the zoning laws for the quarry.
Just to speak to that briefly, because I don't know if you've been following the town board meetings because you're new. So within the past 3 months, right, we've hired a new zoning consultant to actually get our building and zoning office, building planning, into some kind of order. It's almost, I've referred to it as the land of forgotten toys, just
Right.
because files were out of whack. It was a nightmare. We've actually spent quite a bit of money and time revamping that office to the point where we have a consultant who, again, I was hoping that he was going to be here, but we're waiting for him to answer some of the complaints and questions that were asked. The reason why we're waiting so long is because if you think about the whole period of the quarry, if we've never kept good records, which apparently we haven't, we have all these records of the quarry that were never put in a file, so we have to go through methodically and be like, okay, this change was made, so now this is what the law of the land is until the next change happened, and so they've spent a lot of time reorganizing those files to the point where I'm waiting for that answer just as much as you are.
It's
So.
a huge job. The length of the files go from here to about here. And in between them, I can't even begin to tell you what it looks like.
I'm just saying, because, when we were buying the house with our lawyer, he mentioned the quarry on Google Maps, and he said, you're okay with living next to a quarry? Not knowing anything about it, I said, sure. And honestly, if I would have known what it was gonna be like, I wouldn't have moved here. And I don't like saying that because I do like the town and I like the people, but the quarry makes it nearly unbearable, and we've joked about selling the house and already leaving. And we don't want to.
So you knew about the quarry. Did you drive around and see that they
We had
come
only
up the
been-
hill?
We had
And
only been to Pleasant Valley twice, and it was on a weekend.
Gotcha.
Saw the house, came back to look at a couple other things on the house. We drove, through the town, but again, it was Saturday and Sunday. So it wasn't, we didn't really know what to expect. I don't know anything about cars until now.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I didn't understand what the big deal was, and now I get it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It just occurred something, I just heard something that's so frustrating to me. Okay, he knew about the quarry, but we have zoning. And he also knew that most towns have zoning to protect the residents, so they don't have a business that disrupts their lives every day. It doesn't happen. We have a nuisance complaint that we don't need a specialist to read. It's got one line that says, an outdoor business can't affect a resident, period. It's a simple one-paragraph line in the nuisance ordinance. We can go out and enforce it tomorrow. It's an outdoor business. If I was a lawnmower business, a landscaper, and I came to your neighbor's house and started cutting grass at 4 o'clock in the morning, you're not gonna like it. It's the same principle. It's simple. We don't need an expert. Please read the nuisance ordinance. Getting back to the frustration over what these residents are, we're all feeling right now, because when they drop their property value and sell their houses, because there's a lot of people selling right now. You look around Pleasant Valley, there's a lot of homes for sale. And a lot of people who have been complaining about the quarry on different roads, Creek Road, Pinedale, Mountain Drive, houses are going up for sale. They had enough. They lost faith. So you're losing residents that have been here for a long time, and they just want to get out. But they're dropping their prices. When the comps drop, we all lose value in our homes. No matter if you live around a quarry or if you live 10 miles away. We all lose. And Pleasant Valley's getting a black eye with this thing right now. The truck traffic, even if you don't live around the quarry, the truck traffic is driving people insane. Getting back to the test, I've done some research myself. There's an engineering firm over in Hurley, I think it is, someplace across the river, that specializes in this type of working for municipalities. They're an independent. I'll get you the name.
I was gonna say, do you remember their name?
His credentials are here, all his clients, and they do those kind of water studies. They do the air, they'll check the dust. Here's the problem. I've gone to a lab myself, and I said, look, I want to have this dust tested. I want to know what's in it that's bad for me. They don't work that way. You have to give them some ideas of what you want tested. They just don't do a blanket test for a million different particles. So we called one testing company, and the guy said, it's illegal. I can't tell you what to test for. He said, but go online and you'll see. You'll learn by going online
Gotcha.
what you should be testing for with this type of stone. But with this company over in Hurley, I'll send you an email tomorrow. I just looked them up quick, and it was the name given to me by another firm. One other thing, you know, the frustration of these residents, most of these homes on Hurley Road, Pine Road, around O'Halloran Circle, they were built, when the quarry started, they were a gravel mine. Bunny Lansing, the Lansing family owned it. It progressed into concrete plant, asphalt plant, and then those plants grew as the years went by, and the planning boards just let them keep adding on. Even the scale house, it sounds like a nice thing, a pretty scale house. Well, the trucks go in and out quicker now because they got a bigger scale house and it works better. None of those residents were ever taken into consideration when the planning board just rubber stamped all these approvals. And those homes were there before those plants were in. And the dust they're getting, the concrete plant, when they load the silos with the Portland cement, which has silicon in it, the dust goes all over. Then you have the stone that's being crushed, then you have the asphalt odors. Everything is accumulating. The last thing I want to touch base on is, we get calls from a lot of residents that just can't believe the truck traffic. Can you please consider a weight limit on North Avenue in Hamlet? It's a single lane road with a very narrow sidewalk on one side. Residents are afraid to walk on it, and you have trucks with hundreds of tons, you know, these tractor trailers, when they're going by. Nobody seems to ever put a speed trap out there because they speed constantly. But I think you seriously need to consider a weight limit on that road, especially with those older homes. You have daycare center, you have West Road, and there are alternate routes. Craig today spoke with Dutchess County Department DOT.
Steve Gill.
And they said that there's state roads they can get on. Might have to drive a couple of minutes longer. They can go over Memorial Road, but they get on state roads that are built for that kind of traffic.
My only concern is thinking about North Avenue, it's a county road. I don't know if we can impose a weight limit on a county road.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Yes, they need a letter from the town.
Okay?
They said enforcement. You know, we don't have our own police force. But then that means any resident could just call the sheriff or state police and say, there's a truck on this road and it's not supposed to be here. You have a weight limit on Quicker Lane.
Right.
It says no trucks and 2-ton limit.
Right.
That's what you need. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Phil.
Should I,
Thank you.
just mention one thing about Phil, that's out, is that, Steve Gill, who I talked to today, he asked, he said, you guys as the town board can go to Peckham and ask Peckham to have those guys change their route and not go down through there. He goes, start with that, and then if that doesn't work, then, you know.
It's worth asking.
Right, it's worth asking, but this is what Steve told me, though. That's true. He said, ask
Yeah.
them.
I mean, if nothing else, I agree, it's always worth asking. Worst they say is no, right? So,
Right.
and then we just take other action. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Kathy Coogan, Roseville, Pleasant Valley. It's not the Corey guy, so you don't have that. But my problem is with zoning, and it has been.
Can you take
Do you
that
feel
down a
comfortable
little?
taking your mask
Can
down?
you
Yeah, just
feel-
so we can hear you
Thank
better. Thank you.
Because I can't really hear you.
And it has been for quite a while. My frustration, and I think it's the same frustration as a lot of people, is that, is with a business, with a farm, and having complaints, and going to the zoning board and, or zoning department, and asking several different times, and making complaints, and being told, make out complaint forms. I make the phone calls, I come in and I talk to people, I make up the complaint forms again, and all I ever hear is, we're working on it. Would you please explain to me what the hell what it means, we're working on it? Because I
Well-
keep hearing this over.
Well, first
and
of
over.
all, I hate to tell you, but Peckham has taken precedence right now because we don't have that many people to be able to work on that. So you will be, they're dealing with it, but it's just gonna take a little bit longer. We're really not lying
Yeah,
to
but
you,
let me
Kathy.
interrupt. Let me interrupt. They were cited. They were cited.
This has been a year and a half.
Billmore was cited.
going
Oh,
on.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Nobody
Noise
told me.
ordinances, I mean, there are. people-
They,
there are
I'm
noise
telling you, they were
ordinances.
cited for violation.
Okay, but I mean, when I'm calling and I'm asking, I mean, I'm still dealing with brush that's been sitting there since July and cited.
But the citation has been issued, and it's up to the owner of the property to come in and address it.
And so when does it?
He has, I forget how many days he has, but the order was issued.
When do I hear about, when I call and ask what's going on, I hear.
Well, it's probably gonna, I don't know for a fact, but it's probably gonna wind up in court.
But when do I hear what's going on? When I call, I hear.
Once the defendant comes in, then you will hear. But he has a time frame to respond to the violation.
But my time, all right, let me tell you something about the time frame. All summer long, I live on Rolling
But,
Rock.
you know,
Wait a minute, I live on a rock, okay?
I know exactly where you live.
You know where I live, all right? There's a nuisance order, there's a noise ordinance about generators. This guy has a scummy pond. It's been there for it's been there 50, 60 years, okay?
You're preaching to the choir. I've already heard this.
He's got an aerator that's running. He's got an aerator running on this pond. He fills up this generator, run this aerator at like 10, 11 o'clock at night, okay? This is what I hear at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when a generator turns off because it runs out of gasoline. Every single night, all summer long. So when I ask what is going on, we're working on it. What does that mean? to
The
me?
generator's still going now?
No, he finally got his electric to work, but it was months that generator ran. So what good did that do me? And what was my response from you, the board member here? Have you thought about moving? That's what you say to a person who lives here for 32 years.
Okay, you
Someone
don't
who-
understand
someone
what
who
I had to
plays-
do. That's
someone
why I
who
would have
plays-
explained it,
someone who
but you
pays
didn't give me a
taxes
chance.
in this town, someone who is living with this every single night, listening to a generator, can't open their windows, gets woken up every single night, and someone who tries to do good things in town, volunteers, and they get told, have you thought about moving? I don't know, I hope to God nobody else has heard that, but I sure as hell, that was a kick in the gut to hear that on the phone.
You didn't understand what I went through, and I was going to tell you that, but the conversation went south too fast. So someday, if you want to sit with me, I will talk to you about it, but I'm not going to say it in public. So there was a whole nother part of that, all right? There's no way I would have just told you to move, okay?
But you did.
But there was a whole nother part of it, but wasn't able to get told.
After I explained about bulldozers.
Believe me, I understand that completely.
But what I'm saying is that.
Mrs. Kruger.
Zoning has a purpose. You have laws, you have regulations, you have those all written down already.
Mrs. Kruger, did I not try to help you to set up a meeting between
And you told me that the man is harassing me. You told me that.
He admitted it.
Yes, but what I'm saying is who enforces those rules and regulations?
But did I or did not try to mitigate this?
Yes, you did.
And you wouldn't go to his house, he wouldn't come here. I gave up.
Who is responsible for enforcing those rules and regulations?
Like I told you, he has been cited. He has been, I don't know what else I can tell you.
I'm just asking, who enforces those rules and regulations?
The zoning administrator.
And if there's no zoning administrator?
Yes, there is.
Yes,
There's an
there is.
acting one.
We
just talked about that.
That was last week. I'm talking about all this time, over the last year and a half.
We've had a zoning administrator until March, and then from March to last week, recently, we've just filled it. I mean, like, Kathy, I hear exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I don't hear what you're saying. I do. From a different perspective on this, he runs a farm that is trying to do extracurricular activities. That's the easiest way I know how to describe it, right? So, I know that he's been cited. He's got, So when a citation works, he's got a certain amount of time, or the owner of that property has a certain amount of time to either remedy the problem, mitigate the problem, or just ignore the problem, right? So we're still in that window of he needs to fix, his window of applicable time to fix it. I can't speak to, everyone that spoke tonight mentioned prior boards, and I've been here since January. I can't speak to prior boards, right? And I am saying that COVID did not make it any easier for us to do our job here. But we are, personally, I am trying. So what I don't like is you, how everyone said it to us. We're a different board than we were a year ago. And we are trying to, I've heard your complaint, I've mentioned it to Gary, I follow up on separate things that everyone else tells me anyway, just to hear it from the horse's mouth. So I will follow up on this for you. I do hear you. Rome wasn't built in a day. It wasn't.
But, what I don't understand is this, and, I understand that as of January 1st, when you came on, and somewhere along at that very beginning, the zoning administrator got fired, or whatever happened.
His appointment ran out.
Okay, was there no backup plan for filling that position? Because now it's 10 months later.
There was a backup. We were working on a backup plan before this happened, and then we got hit with a global pandemic. I'm not using it as a crutch, but what I am saying is when we were having meetings to try to figure out, well, how are we going to fill this position, who are we going to fill with, maybe let's conduct interviews, and then we were shut down for 2-3 months at least, so 5 months. So you have to, I understand that you are at wit's end, you're at the end of your rope. I get it. I'm asking you to just hold on to that rope for just a little longer so we can finish what we started.
Then just, keep us updated.
I will.
Keep us updated. Treat us with a little bit of respect, and when we call, give us a little bit more than we're working on.
Fair enough.
I don't think that's much to ask.
So here's my 2 cents. Here's what I will say. You have my number. You know where I work, right? Stop by and see me anytime. I will get answers for you within a week. Can you give me a week? Okay.
You better go quick. He kept trying to get up, and someone beat him to it.
What's your meeting of this?
It'll take me half an hour to get my mask off because the hearing aids and stuff. Okay. I forgot what I was coming for.
That was a little bit of levity that we needed.
That happens when you get older. Okay.
So Gary goes first.
I got a couple of things. I hope they're easier. 2 roads in town, and I'm afraid to mention one because we might run into another long discussion, but I live on Saw Point Turnpike, Pleasant Valley, Gary Beater, by the way. Cars are traveling on that road 80 miles an hour in my section. And I know that because I clock them. I know I've measured a distance in the out front and how many seconds it takes. It tells me how fast they're going. I can't afford a radar. Something should be done from Cannon Drive north. At Cannon Drive, the road, the speed limit goes to 55. It's a straightaway, and you could hear them revving up because they know the 55 is coming, so they hit their 60 or 65 then. It becomes a real challenge to leave the driveway, and I'm not the only one. I would suggest that you collectively ask the New York State Department of Transportation to review the road and the line markings, so that we can maybe control that. The other road with the same problem is North Avenue. From the bridge north, it's 55, that's crazy. That's really crazy. You know, move it, the trucks going that speed is dangerous. That's number one. Number two, see tonight, you're going to discuss the transfer station. I'm proud to have helped design that and put that in. I came last week and talked to you a bit about it, about using our own vehicle, et cetera. And just so you know, I wasn't talking in the wind. I'll give you. I left my mask. Thank you. Not for everyone. I'm not selling trucks, but here's a roll-off all ready to go for $53,875. Got 116,000 miles on it, which is nothing on an Allison. And Cummins diesel, the 204. That's just an example. I researched it, and I came up with quite a few dozens of available trucks. So, yes, you can get your own vehicle a lot cheaper than a new one. I look at your changes here. Pickup truck loads, in your resolution, you're gonna stop pickup loads, 4, 6, and 8 foot beds, pickup truck loads of shingles, et cetera. I ask you now how I'm gonna get my dishwasher that just went kerplunk into my car.
Recycle depot. It's cheaper.
It is.
What was this question?
The only income you get is from the metal. You don't get much, but you
Oh, I
get
see.
something.
I understand what he's saying. You can bring your pickup, you can put your dishwasher in your pickup truck and then put it on the metal pile.
Right.
That's fine.
It doesn't say that here, but.
No,
What
well,
is- what
It
this
should be
is,
reworded.
no, we're just, so the resolution is just striking things from the price list that we're no longer going to accept. Metal's still on the list of things we'll take.
Okay.
This is just removing, like, the items that we no longer will take off that price list.
Okay, the first one is pickup truck. You're gonna remove it, 4, 6, and 8.
Right, because those are on our price list. As a C and D, like a pickup truck load is on our price list.
Doesn't say load, it says it tells me pickup truck.
No, it says pickup truck loads with a 4, 6, or 8 foot bed, right? That's exactly how it's worded on our price list.
Okay.
So we're just removing, like, we're not allowing you to come in with a pickup truck load full of shingles or 2x4s to throw away. We still accept metal, which is also on our price list.
I understand what you're telling me. I don't think it's written right.
I kind of have to agree with Gary. It's kind of, there's still a couple of gray areas on the resolution. We had good intent on it, but I think there may still be a misunderstanding or two as to where we're going with this.
So basically, what I would offer, I've been through this, and I did a financial statement for the proposal 50 years ago. I would offer an in-depth financial review from your records and both ways. And see if it is the right direction. I agree with construction debris, by the way. I think that I have no problem. We're not in that. I think that's it. The only thing, would say is that, your own vehicle seems like a good solution to me in this
Thank you, Gary.
Frank, could I ask you something? You said that the quarry got cited for something?
No.
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 Not
No.
for the
Belmar.
Yeah, Bill.
That's what I thought.
Your mask.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Hearing none, I move to close the meeting to the public.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now we get down to the business. Item 1 is accept the minutes for the September 2nd, 2020 workshop, September 9th regular town board meeting, September 23rd special town board meeting. Do you hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, before you continue, Frank, we talked about making a resolution for.
Oh.
So I would like to make a motion at this time that we ask both the DEC and the quarry to hire an independent contractor that the town board of Town of Pleasant Valley approves to do an air and dust study with a 5-mile radius of the former Dutchess Quarry, but Petco Materials.
Second. Well, we already have
That's
that.
already been done.
That's a separate, we already
Do
did that
I,
one. That's a separate.
any discussion on this?
I actually like the addition of the wording that the town board approves.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a good little throw-in.
Yep.
Yes.
Mhm.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Okay, number
2.
2 is the resolution to transfer funds for to the rec department. Basically, this is just to upgrade the schoolhouse up in Saw Point. I'm not going to read it. It's self-explanatory. We're moving money from field materials and facility repairs, and we're decreasing mowing. Pretty simple.
Yep. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Number 3, this is, I'm sorry, I went so fast, I forgot, that was resolution number 148.
Right.
I'm trying to move this along. Resolution number 149, authorizing the town clerk to advertise for bids for various highway supplies and services for 2021.
And just to be more specific, it's not including but not limited to stone, gravel, sand, latex, biometric mix.
Bituminous.
Bituminous mix.
Bituminous, right?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Hot and cold plow blades and guide rails.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, resolution number 150, appointments to the Pleasant Valley Veterans Committee. And we have, let's see, let me read it. Whereas there now exists on the Town of Pleasant Valley Veterans Committee a vacancy, and whereas Adam Roach has expressed an interest in being appointed to the position on the Veterans Committee, now for there be resolved that the Town Board, Town of Pleasant Valley, does hereby designate and appoint Adam Roach to the Pleasant Valley Veterans Committee to fill the unexpired term effective immediately, as follows. Appointment, October 14th, 2020. Term expires December 31st, 2025. Motion?
So made.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Johnny.
Okay. Resolution number 153, appointment to the Pleasant Valley Hometown Heroes Committee.
Nope.
51.
No,
You're out of order. You read those.
got a couple of more veterans things to go here.
Oh, wait, okay, it's the staple hit it. Or whatever hit it. Yeah, this thing, the paper clip hit it.
Yep.
Okay, Town Board Resolution number 150, appointment to the Pleasant Valley Veterans Committee. Whereas now there's a vacancy on the committee. I already read this.
No, it's a different person.
No,
There's
3 clipped together, okay.
You can cheat a little and just read the name and
Yeah.
go on.
Let's just
Other
go,
than that, it's the same as the
Veterans
first
Committee, Adam Kavorius?
Yeah.
one. Anthony Kavoris.
Kavoris. for the appointment October 14th, 2020, to expire on December 31st, 2025. Hear a motion?
So made.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 152 exists on another Veterans Committee, Louis Caviglia. His appointment would be October 14, 2020. Term expires December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Johnny.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, resolution number 153, 2020. Appointment to the Pleasant Valley Hometown Heroes Committee. Anthony Luciano is expressed an interest and does hereby designate and appoint Anthony Luciano. The appointment October 14th, 2020, expires December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 154, another Hometown Heroes appointment. This is Christy Schroeder. The Town Board does hereby designate and appoint Christy Schroeder to the Pleasant Valley Hometown Heroes Committee to fill the unexpired term effective immediately. Appointment October 14, 2020. Term expires December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Number 160. This is out of order, but that's because it wasn't, whatever, you know. It's another appointment to the Hometown Heroes. There is a vacancy on the committee, whereas Jeff Cady has expressed an interest. The Town Board hereby designate and appoint Jeff Cady to the Hometown Heroes Committee to fill the unexpired term effective immediately as follows. Appointment October 14, 2020. Term expires December 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Where are we now?
Number six, yep. I'm going to make a motion that we go into executive session. You guys do not have to move. We will go into the clerk's office for section what is it, 105.1F for personnel.
Second?
Oh, second. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carried.
We will be right back.
Need about an extra minute to use the restroom, boss.
Let's get it.
Yeah, I don't think you sent me that. I know I printed it out. You might have sent it to me though. I scrolled past it because I was farther into it.
The bulldozer and the tried to pull it out. He's got this same one, his dad got up for that, that was 60 years ago. I know, we want to put it in a rig. So until by, and I did,
To testify in court, I could swear.
so all of these.
I knew he did it.
Comes to
No, but I'm saying, oh my God. They took this money.
What's that?
But is it recording here so that we can post it afterwards?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not recording at all?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Put the air conditioning on and start to sweat. I was like,
The state, the sheriff's department says
you know, I understand.
it's backwards. And then I think that's every once in a while, I get an officer who says, oh, this is.
Frustrated, which I get, because
I mean, then he was doing something.
Same thing, yes, that's rented.
There's noise machine.
looking at this board, I get it to a point.
You know,
They did hire
down to.
It's over.
and I've seen this
Well, next month, there's a new.
it's sort of, you know, and it is.
So I gotta give
They're
it
paid to be done.
It was ridiculous for them to fire the zoning administrator and bang back the truck in the morning.
You know, the zoning administrator was only doing it at the beginning. I don't understand.
But my favorite was the chase. Cutting down trees and stuff, 8:39.
Yeah, that was only got ahead, and nothing got done. So stop.
yelling about
And-
It's like, it's not, it's right, you know, it's right there in your research.
Your place is your castle. And for them not allowing you to go outside or open your windows, then
We did, that's what Mike told us to do, so we did that. And actually, I called Frank one day, and he said, I'm out of.
so you're talking.
And I said, we were told. And I said, none of the matter, they're not back.
I can't do it.
Mike actually came out and looked at it and said, way, we got it out. We did that long way, chainsaw.
We're on blind years ago, you know, half years and stuff, it just, come on, man.
I mean, to be told. What it comes down to is his grandfather's
my brother, they do it over the phone. Somebody else's 20-year-old problem.
Tax value on people's houses that are around that. People's houses need to be reevaluated. Comparable sales.
That's the zombie apocalypse.
And I said, I really don't know, so I can't say yes, no. So he went back down and he said, no, you can't profess on it. So, so 9 feet tall, right out of the middle of the circle, 4 feet off. Oh, yeah, she told me the same thing.
Love ya. Uh-huh. No, no, you guys are too bad. Tonight. I couldn't get that to work on recording it. So I'm gonna post it to YouTube. Okay. So people will get to see it. It's just we're not exactly live. We're recording, but we're not live.
Well,
I know, it doesn't matter, I know.
either way.
Just so you all know, we're waiting for this, he had to use the facilities. Oh, I think you just push it.
No, because there's this little thing.
No, you gotta, no, Frankie, go behind it, there's a bracket. You gotta put that in the bracket.
Did he leave? Oh, there you are.
There.
Yes, please. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to exit executive session. We need a second, though.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
9 o'clock on the nose.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion?
Well, I already made the motion to leave executive session.
Yep.
Should I read the resolution?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, resolution number 155, appointment of town justice. Whereas a letter of September 8th, 2020, Judge Thomas F. Vasty III submitted a resignation as town judge effective September 21st, 2020. And whereas the town board has determined that there is a need for the second judge to handle cases in the justice court. And, well, should be, therefore be it resolved that the town board has the authority to appoint and does appoint Michael Cusick to the office of town judge for the town of Pleasant Valley to fill the temporary term of office until the next general election in 2021. And I will make that motion.
Second.
Roll call.
Excuse me. Councilwoman Albrecht.
Aye.
Councilman Del Vecchio.
Nay.
Councilman Mazzella.
Aye.
Councilman O'Hanlon.
Nay.
Supervisor Szynski.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, resolution number 156 of 2020, appointment of alternate to the zoning board of appeals. I think it should say alternates, right? Because we're going to do
Well, there's two different resolutions.
two different resolutions?
Oh, yeah, there's a second one.
Fill this one in.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, Mary Beth, you're going to have to give me the names, though.
Yeah.
So this gentleman's name is going to be Allen, A-L-L-A-N, Co, C-O.
E.
No.
Oh, it's just CO.
Just CO.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Okay, so whereas there now exists in the Town of Pleasant Valley Zoning Board of Appeals a vacancy for an alternate member, whereas Alan Coe has expressed an interest in being appointed an alternate member of the Planning Zoning Board of Appeals, and therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley does hereby designate and appoint Alan Coe as an alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill a 5-year term effective immediately as follows. Appointment October 14th, 2020, expires October 14th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carried. Number 157, 2020, appointment of an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals. And where there now exists a vacancy on the Town Board of Appeals, whereas John F. Schofer has expressed an interest in being appointed alternate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, and therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Pleasant Valley does hereby designate and appoint John F. Schofer as an alternate member to the Planning Board of Appeals to fill a 5-year term effective immediately as follows. Appointment October 14, 2020. Term expires October 14, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, 158. Resolution number 158 of 2020, authorize payments of abstract number 10 of 2020. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley Board has audited the bills presented to the town clerk, and an abstract has been compiled, therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorize the town supervisor to pay all claims as follows. Abstract 10 of 2020, general fund claims, $131,357.19. Abstract 10 of 2020, highway fund claims, $45,921.73. Abstract 10 of 2020, ambulance, $10,415. Abstract 10 of 2020, streetlights, $3,610.20.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Carried.
Before you read the next resolution, I have to recuse myself. I recently found out that I have a brother who started working for Royal Karting. I did not know this, but about a month ago he started working there.
I don't mean to laugh, I'm sorry, but.
So, in light of the fact that his company or the place that he works can benefit or whatever, I don't know how it works, but I'm not going to put myself in any kind of jeopardy with that, so I have to recuse myself from this resolution.
Okay. Resolution number 159 of 2020, changes to the transfer station. Whereas there have been losses upwards of $50,000 per year for several years at the transfer station, and whereas there has not been a fee adjustment for at least 10 years, and whereas a large portion of the cost is attributed to the hauling of the construction debris, therefore be it resolved, starting November 1st, 2020, the following items are considered construction debris and will no longer be accepted to be disposed at the transfer station. Pickup truck loads with 4, 6, and 8-foot beds, pickup truck loads with shingles of any kind, toilets, garage doors, 7 by 8 or larger, mattresses, all sizes, fiberglass tubs, kitchen cabinets of any kind, tires, all sizes.
Where it says pickup loads with the 4, 6, and 8 guys, do you want to put in parentheses construction debris only?
Yeah.
So there's no confusion with like Gary mentioned of the clients being in the bed of the truck?
That's a good idea.
That's fine.
Put it in parentheses?
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I'll make a motion with that edit, actually.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Now what the heck is the next one? Okay, 161. This is the one for the town board, for the Fox Run subdivision.
Well, I'm abstaining from.
I recuse or abstain, whatever you want to put down. Yeah.
Oh, do we need to? Even though we all voted yes and he's the only one that abstained? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, this is a resolution to approve oh, let me read it. Whereas the Fox Run subdivision was approved by the Town of Pleasant Valley Planning Board on November 13th, 2007, and specifically included 3 agreements for construction of a private roadway and common driveway, a road improvement agreement executed March 11, 2008, a performance bond executed March 11, 2008, and a hold harmless agreement dated June 19, 2008, each as amended and extended by the town board. And whereas the original agreements referenced above were assigned to Steeplechase Acres LLC by agreement dated November 25, 2008, and whereas Steeplechase Acres LLC has requested pursuant to the road improvement agreement to further assign the reference agreements to the prospective purchaser of the subdivision, Diamond Trail Properties LLC, in connection with the sale and further development of the subdivision. And whereas the original road improvement agreement provided for assignment with the town board approval not to be unreasonably withheld, now therefore be it resolved that the town board of Town of Pleasant Valley hereby approves the assessment assignment to the execution of the annexed assignment agreement and continuation of the terms and provisions of said agreement, and does hereby authorize the supervisor to execute the agreement.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Number 162, resolution number 162. Permission to advertise a request for proposals for removing and replacing the fuel depot at the Highway Department for the Town of Pleasant Valley. Whereas the Town of Pleasant Valley is interested in soliciting proposals for removing and replacing the fuel depot for the Town of Pleasant Valley Highway Department, now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town clerk to advertise proposals for qualified contractors to the Town of Pleasant Valley, which such proposals are to be returned to the town clerk no later than October 30th, 2020 at 12 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, just a quick question. I remember years ago that the fire department shared in the purchase or with the town.
They share the fuel.
They share the fuel with us.
No, when it first went in, I believe it was a shared thing when it first went in. Would they be doing that again?
I don't know, because.
I know they share the fuel as well, but when they first constructed, it was a shared thing.
It wasn't
Yeah.
on the last resolution. I can tell you that much because I saw it back.
Well, I mean, I just,
That's all I know, John.
What you're saying, John, is that they paid part of
for
the
half
purchase?
of it, because,
Yeah, but how long ago was that purchased?
I'm
The
just saying,
thing's
I
been there
just,
for like 30 years, right?
right,
No,
so,
yeah, it's almost, it's
The
like,
new fuel depot was put in 1993, so,
Yeah.
yeah, 30 years.
okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
27.
I'm just saying,
That's a
the
pretty
fire
good guess on my
department
part.
split it with the town. Are they still gonna do that again?
I have to look at the minutes.
Well, I don't think that that's going to stop us from getting prices, though.
No, I just bringing it
no,
up
I
as
understand. Yeah,
part
yeah.
of
Shared expense.
shared expenses and
It's
things
worth
like that.
looking into, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, just as a point of order, that's all.
Yeah, I agree.
I can look further into that
Yeah, that's
tomorrow,
fine.
because the resolution from the last one didn't have their name on it, but that might not mean anything.
Okay.
So, I'll check it out.
All in favor?
We got a motion second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
And then, being that we're at the end of our agenda, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.